My objective is to synergize the wisdom of academics with the community message of Man vs. Prostate. As we prepare for change, the time is now for BPH, BPO care to prioritize bladder health. With the right dialogue, the right data, we de-obstruct at the right time to prevent late-stage disease, being mindful of sex. My promise is that together we will be able to affect positive change away from a prostate-first approach to a data-first, pro-diagnostic, bladder-centric paradigm, so all of our patients can live the best lives with optimal intimacy and freedom from catheters and incontinence. To do so, we must be defenders of the detrusor. As we uphold our mandates of preserving bladder health, ending the polypharmacy epidemic, and preventing late-stage disease, we profess an undeniable truth that, along with the brain, the bladder is the only other major organ that cannot be transplanted. And we fight on this landscape of male LUTS, where bladder dysfunction sits at the center, and we stand right here on guard against the damages of benign prostatic obstruction, ever vigilant of the other causes of primary and secondary bladder disease, because there's always diagnostic uncertainty. And we invite the bladder to be at the table of shared decision-making as an equal partner. We ensure that the preferences and values of both the patient, optimal sex, and the bladder, optimal detrusor function, are always communicated and integrated into management choices, because there's so much at stake. BPO is progressive, as we all know. Trust the truth of trabeculations as evidence of the underlying cellular destruction that caused by BPO progressing detrusor underactivity, which manifests in 5 main ways that the bladders and patients experience. It's not just the annoyance of slow flow. It's the anxiety of urgency frequency, the exhaustion of nocturia, the shame of incontinence, the terror of retention, and the despair of a dying bladder. And together, they negatively impact health span, the number of years lived in good health, sex span, years lived with optimal sexual vitality, and we submit bladder span, years lived with optimal detrusor function, because bladder health supports our freedom to thrive. And before we dive into the relation between sex and bladders, we need a linguistic framework within which we can talk about bladder span. Thus, the Man vs. Prostate 5 stages of bladder health, a community-based decision-making aid that's patient-facing, because BPH, BPO is about bladder health. Just like the heart's a muscle, the bladder is a muscle that pumps blood through the prostate that starts out size of a golf ball in the shape of a donut. As that prostate gets bigger, that donut hole is going to get smaller, causing things to slow down, stage 1. The bladder muscle then works harder, causing it to be quivering, struggling, causing overactive bladder, stage 2. If we don't take care of it, the bladder can act out like a rebellious child, contract without permission, causing urgency incontinence. If we really don't take care of it, just like the heart can have a heart attack, the bladder can suddenly stop working, causing the emergency of retention, stage 4. And like the heart can go into heart failure, the bladder can go into bladder failure, causing the lifetime of catheter, stage 5. Worst case scenario, right, the heart can still be transplanted. The bladder does not have that option. And yes, this is an oversimplification. Transitions are not distinct. Stages can be skipped, and stages can coexist. Yet it highlights how this disease can steadily progress to more serious stages, and how our top priority is to prevent patients from entering these late-stage disease. As we have seen in the Thomas study, where the decision was made to simply observe these 141 patients obstructed by multi-channel, some observed after 24 years, and the consequences were far more than just a decrease in flow and contractility. The real ramifications were on bladder span. Stage 2 detrusor overactivity increasing by 100%, stage 3 urgency incontinence by 50%, and now we have 7 men being progressed into stage 4 retention when there were none at the start. To stop this assault on bladders, we need to be preventative interventionalists, intervening at the right time before the onset of damage or before the damage is irreversible. To do so, shared decision-making starts with symptom scores. One size doesn't fit all. IPSS, single page, learn, nice questions, urgency, incontinence, ICIQ, question on retention, as well as those for sex. Please use these validated questionnaires based on symptoms. In support of academics, Man vs. Prostate launched a communication tool based on bladder health. Single page, designed for community urologists. Bladder's in the title to ensure that its preferences and values are considered. The IPSS and quality of life questions were kept and left 100% the same and simply reordered to mirror voiding subscore stage 1 BPO, storage subscore stage 2 OAB. The total IBPSS score is identical to the IPSS for continued comparative academic research. 2 questions were then added based on the learn, urgency, incontinence. Have you ever leaked urine or wet a pad after feeling a sudden need to urinate? Based on the ICIQ for stage 4 retention, have you ever been unable to urinate and needed a catheter to drain your bladder? This vertical sequential staging mirrors the horizontal stages and empowers patients to diagnose themselves and pinpoint exactly where they now and in the present and where could they end up in the future, igniting them to take action about bladder health. We squeezed in another question about sex, a topic that's too taboo for too many men. In the last month, have you had ejaculation or erection problems? Now translated into over 12 languages from Chinese to Urdu, Turkish, Greek, etc., the IBPSS prompts us to look at the existing research about a correlation between sex and stage. Classic ICS BPH study, 1,200 men, 12 countries. Yes, LUTS is associated with sexual dysfunction. The odds ratios were especially elevated for storage symptoms and incontinence, hinting at a negative correlation between sex and stage. Small sample size, so we march on. To the classic Rosen study, 12,000 men, academic IPSS, solidifying that association between LUTS and sexual decline as men age. But it lacked the granularity that we were looking for. Wouldn't it be nice if there was a study that could blend the best of those 2 studies? And there is. The EpiLUTS. European, Nordic, North American Brigade, they all got together, united, and divided 6,000 men into 3 groups, gifting us with a rough surrogate of our stages. Early stage, no or minimal symptoms. Stage 2, continent OAB. Stage 3, incontinent OAB, confirming what we suspected about sex. As men progressed from early stage to stage 2 OAB to stage 3 urgency incontinence, sex got worse. Premature ejaculation increased by almost 50%. Ejaculatory dysfunction more than doubled. ED increased by 100%. 1/3 of guys were enjoying sex less. And sex progressively declined, so that only half were still active by stage 3. These data support a negative correlation between sexual performance and stage. This retrospective mapping of historic data provides insights, but clearly more research is needed to confirm these observations, as well as we expect to see more men having less sex as they enter into stage 4 and 5, because catheters are definitely not sexy. This 1-point restraint is a hindrance, and taping your penis down under a condom is not a solution. So we need to be better and do better by our men. As we rise to this task, know that Man vs. Prostate is here to support you with ebook, IBPSS, educational videos. Dive in on LinkedIn or our book or with our current review. To conclude, so as BPH-BPO steadily progresses, sexual performance deteriorates. Let us be the change that we all seek. With the right dialogue, the right data, we de-obstruct earlier at the right time to preserve bladder health and optimize sex, extending sex span and bladder span. Make our vision a reality of all of our patients living their best lives, incontinence-free, catheter-free, with the level of intimacy that they desire by preventing late-stage disease for this amazing non-transplantable organ. So lean into protecting bladders. We are defenders of the detrusor, saviors of sex. and let's go save more bladders. This concludes what I have to say. I just want to share that spending this time with you is hopeful, and I look forward to similar interactions frequently in the future.